Now, let's talk a bit more about outreach, because I know our previous space talks have been very technical, or some of them have been very technical. We've talked about exoplanets, we've talked about traveling to Baikonur, Baikonur Cosmodrome, but this one's slightly different, and we're going to talk about outreach. So Justin, what are your thoughts on outreach, and kind of how have you been involved in outreach? I know you mentioned your experience when you were growing up with, remind me, was it the radio?
RCA, yeah.
RCA.
Our RCA's acronym is Radio Corporation of America. A big conglomerate that was, providing televisions and all sorts of electronics to the American public for about a century. But their defense sector, one of their plants was located right where I grew up. But I must say that for me, one thing that's been important is basically just being a good example to others, and just talking a little bit about what I do to people who are younger than me. My own family, my own extended family, as I mentioned before, there hasn't been a lot of focus on math and science and engineering. We've had a lot of focus on medicine, a lot of focus on law, a lot of focus on education by the different professions that we've had, but not so much in the other ways. So I simply haven't been doing a lot of outreach directly, but I've been trying to make sure that the youth that I have come in contact with, either through tutoring or outreach that the Aerospace Corporation has done at our high schools, various high schools in Southern California. I've been doing it that way. As a matter of fact, John Muir High School in Pasadena, I was involved with outreach through that high school, and very much value that. I think it's of importance, especially because that's how I got involved. If I had not had individuals coming to Willingboro High School, where I went to high school in New Jersey, I probably would have been an architect or an attorney, and not an engineer. So it's important to get the message out that it is a valid career path, and a career path where African Americans can excel. And so, we just have to, do our best to get the message out.
Yeah, that's great, especially because you're so closely connected to the outreach side. It significantly impacted your career choices, which is great to hear.
Yes.
Sharon, what are your thoughts on outreach in terms of STEM, especially, and engineering and space? What do you think?
Well, after the newness of seeing the space shuttle launches wore off, the outreach part became the most fun and endearing part of my job. Going out to the schools and going to community events, having the suit with me, explaining to the children about it up close and personal. They can touch it, feel it, try on a piece here and there, and just seeing their little eyes light up. And people didn't even know that a suit technician was a job. I had never heard of it until I was there either. I mean, I know I did it in the Air Force, but knowing that you could actually have a career suiting up the crew members for launch and strapping them into the shuttle and that whole side of the house, you don't think about that as a job. All people think about is astronaut, scientist, engineer when they think about NASA. There are so many more behind the scene jobs that people have no idea exist. So you have to, and that's how you let people know, by going out into the community and letting them know about it. And now we have the Google and the internet and everything. So it's at everybody's fingertips. They can find out all this information now. But it's so wonderful to have somebody do it in person, come to a classroom and tell the children, and then they can see somebody that looks like them actually doing the job.
Yeah, that's great. You mentioned going out to the community and showing them what happens, what is possible. And we've got Lucy in the house, who's actually a community outreach organizer. So she does exactly that. Lucy, how important do you think outreach is becoming now? Even though, of course, as Sharon mentioned, we have Google, we have the internet. Students you can log into YouTube and watch videos on literally anything and everything. Even then, why do you think outreach is still important? And how is your experience in outreach, especially in engineering and STEM? What have you noticed through your experiences?
One of the things I think that makes face-to-face outreach more powerful than virtual outreach, I think, is that relatable aspect of it. Is that person feelings from that experience and remembering that moment and taking that moment and carrying that moment with them through their life, and that moment actually dropping little paths in their brains to think, oh, I don't want to go this way, I want to go that way. I think those little moments are hard to get virtually or just getting information, and I think that part is so virtual because I'm one like Sharon, Google it, it's out there, it's at your fingertips, get to it. But at the same time, I think the work we do face to face allows people to see us and understand us and get to know us as workers as well as, other people that like some of the major challenges I've faced as a Black organizer is working with white-led spaces, the nuances that come with that. But overcoming that over the past year and we've seen over the past 6 months has been really, really, really amazing. So all of that sort of push that we're getting now for that type of work, it's important. And we can see that when people have the time to pause and think, what can we do? Can we do more? There is more to do. There is always more to do. So I think that is the power of doing the outreach face to face. You find out more, you get a different perspective, you meet different people and inspire different people. So I truly believe that. Yeah.
That's great. It is a little bit ironic because we're hosting a virtual event right now, but hopefully as the approval of these vaccines comes in, we can quickly go back to doing face-to-face events. And as you said, the power of those is truly remarkable. Even in my childhood, I remember seeing like science fairs where they used to come in and they used to get those like a chemistry set, and you used to have bubbles coming out. I still remember that, and it does have an impact on you as to what you think is interesting. So yeah, that's great. What about you, Emmanuel? How do you think outreach impacted your decisions growing up and choosing careers?
Well, so one of the things that I remember was I had a close a family member that gave me a lot of information when I was thinking about going towards the engineering path. Gave me different information about space technology, space vehicles, things like that, and seeing that coming from someone that I knew and respected, and and she was a family member, definitely made it feel even more accessible to me. That seeing someone that looked like me, who was also interested in space and space technology, that made it more like, okay, yeah, this is something that it's not unheard of that somebody like me would be doing this. So that's always important. And one thing that I recall after working, so I worked for JPL for a few years during grad school, and one of the things that we did was First Robotics. So we mentored for First Robotics, which is if you don't know what it is, it's a robotics competition where you are given a task to build a robot that's supposed to do something, and you and then you enter them all in a competition together. And it felt like that was an opportunity for me to sort of get others interested in technology and get others interested in perhaps becoming an engineer in in space or in mechanical or something like that. Yeah, so I ended up being a mentor for that 1 year at I believe it was the La Cañada High School in Pasadena. And yeah, it was fun. It was really interesting. It was good to see students getting interested in technology, and I think programs like that really help. It's always a question of funding is, I think, the main issue, but finding ways to get those kind of programs out to more communities is I think something that's essential to the whole idea of outreach.